Alright everybody, how's it going? I know it's been a little while since I've uploaded, but I've just been really busy. So, what can we expect coming into 2021 and coming up in the future with a Joe Biden, Kamala Harris regime? I'm not going to call it a presidency because it's going to be a regime, especially with Kamala Harris being the communist that she is. So this one's going to be a combination. It's going to be less food on the shelves and higher prices. So it's not going to necessarily be a combination of both for everyone, but in certain places there's going to be less food on the shelves at stores, and some places there's going to be higher food prices. May not necessarily be less food on the shelves, but they might have higher prices. And some places might just be a combination. They might have less food and the price is higher than normal. So guys, let's expect less food and let's expect to pay more for food in the near future. And the next one that I'm going to talk about is ammunition and firearms. So let's expect to see less ammunition and less firearms on the shelves next year and in the near future. Let's also expect for prices of ammunition and firearms to go up. Now I know prices for ammo have already gone up. Last time I bought a box of 9mm, I paid an outrageous price of $30 for a box of 20. Now for me that's extremely high. I don't want to pay that much, but there's not much I can do. Supply and demand, they get to control the prices. They say that there's an ammo shortage, which there is, or at least there is on the shelves. I don't know if they're hoarding it, but there's less on the shelves for us, so they get to control it. So guys, let's expect to see less firearms, less ammo than there already is. Let's expect to also pay more for firearms and more for ammo than we already currently do. Guys, with a Biden-Harris regime, let's also expect to pay a lot more for our gasoline and diesel. Okay? This is something that not everyone thinks about, but there are a good number of us that do realize it. Gasoline and diesel is going to go up under a Biden-Harris regime. Now, if you own a big vehicle that uses a lot of gas, I'm not going to say to get rid of it, but I am going to suggest if you have the money to purchase an economical vehicle as well. So, for me, I have two vehicles. One is a gas guzzler, and the other one is an economic car. I'm not going to be able to predict what the prices are going to be for fuel, but just know that the price of fuel could definitely go up at the pump, and you need to be prepared for that. This also ties into the whole oil industry with Biden, basically being anti-oil, anti-fracking, all that. And going into anti-oil and anti-fracking, let's prepare to see a significant loss of jobs in the oil industry. So I know a lot of truck drivers are like, oh yeah, my job is secure. I'm essential, they can't get rid of me, I work in the oil field. Well, guess what? If Biden gets his way and destroys the oil industry, guess what, oil field guy? You're SOL. Better start hauling dry van or reefer, flatbed. So let's get ready to see a spike in joblessness in the oil field and fracking. We could also see an increase in job demand in green energy, though, But let's get in the topic of green energy real quick. I just want to touch on this. So guys, the state of South Australia, I believe, is 100% green energy. Anytime South Australia gets significant weather, their power goes out. Why? Green energy doesn't work. So what does Joe Biden want to do with this country? He wants to implement green energy. So, if you live in the South, you get a severe heat wave. Guess what? You can expect loss of power. If you live in the North, Northeast, you get a nor'easter. Guess what? Your power already goes out as it is in a nor'easter. But now you can expect it to be out for even longer. Fun. Let's say you live out in wildfire-prone areas. Guess what? Your power is going to be out. And God only knows how long it's going to be out for then. Get a hurricane, power is going to go out. Get an earthquake, power is going to go out. See what I'm getting at over here? Green energy seems nice at first on paper, but it sucks. It doesn't work. It's also much more expensive to maintain. I believe it's like 25 years. All the solar panels are going to be going to the landfill. All the windmills are going to be going to the landfill. And it's going to cost a shitload of money to build new ones to replace them. It's going to cost money to make them, and it's going to cost a lot of money to transport them to the landfill whenever their lifespan is over. Another thing we need to get ready for, and this is something that a lot of us already know, is come January, the CARES Act, there's going to be a lot of people homeless. So we're going to expect to see a spike in homelessness and crime. Because with homelessness comes crime. People are going to do what they need to do to survive. If that means theft, robbery, they're going to do it. Not everyone, but some will resort to crime, so let's expect crime to go up. So what are some of the ways that we can do to reduce the impact on ourselves? Well, first of all, with the food, less food on the shelves, right now, you can go out, while there's still some food, go out, buy food, buy a freeze dryer if you can afford it. If you can afford it, 110% buy a freeze dryer. Please do yourself the favor. You're not going to regret it. I know they're expensive, but they are well worth the money. If you can't, learn how to can. Please learn how to can. Buy a canner and start canning your food. This way you have more food for yourself later on. Buy a dehydrator. Do something. Get something that is going to preserve your food for longer. On the topic of firearms and ammunition, if you have firearms as it is right now, if you have at least a long rifle, a semi-automatic rifle, and or a shotgun and a handgun, then you should be all right. You shouldn't need another rifle or firearm. However, on the topic of ammo, you should definitely learn how to reload ammo, because it's going to be much more expensive to buy ammo, and it's going to be much harder to find ammo in the stores. So learning how to reload your ammunition is going to be an extremely valuable skill. Now, there's not a whole lot that you can do on the gasoline, diesel, oil industry thing, other than buying an economical vehicle if you can afford it, or buying an electric vehicle if you can afford it. Now, I have my opinions on electric vehicles. I know a lot of y'all have opinions on electric vehicles. I know the Canadian Prepper has his opinion on the Cybertruck. The thing is hideous, but I get where he's going at it with it. Guys, there is one okay thing about electric vehicles, and that is, especially if you can get a solar charger, for it, then, you know, you're going to be pretty well off so long as there's no EMP. There's not a whole lot you can do with the oil field industry. You know, if you are working in the oil industry or the oil field, driving a truck, you know, there's plenty of other companies out there that'll hire you if things go south with the oil industry. I don't know what to say to the oil workers, other than the truck drivers. And on the topic of green energy, again, there isn't a whole lot you can do unless you can, you know, get your own off-grid power source. I know they have water turbines that generate electricity. You can get windmills. Obviously, solar panels are very popular these days. Things like that, you know, can generate your own power. But again, these things only last for so long, so just keep that in mind. And guys, with that, I'm gonna end it. Y'all have a good one. Okay, guys, really quick before y'all get out of here, I forgot to touch on how to reduce or minimize the impacts of homelessness and crime for yourself. Homelessness, if you fear that you might lose your home because you can't pay your mortgage, then you really need to think of an alternative for your careers, or adding a new skill set to your, to your skills. So if you do something that is not relevant anymore, look at all the jobs that are currently relevant that you don't need a degree for. There's plenty of them out there. Just take a look and try and, you know, get work in something that's actually going to pay. Because, guys, going homeless is it's not going to be fun. And a way to minimize the impact of crime for yourself, guys, just beef up your security. Beef up your front door. And if your state allows it, guys, you really need to be carrying a firearm. One thing that I've heard is that people are resorting to thefts, not in stores, but in the parking lots of those stores. So people who have already bought the items, people are, stealing from people who've already bought these items and running. So be aware of your surroundings, situational awareness. Always stay prepped, mentally and physically. Guys, please like and subscribe, leave a comment, and y'all have a good one.